Hello, welcome to the Peaceful Woodturner. This is a table leg. Big hunk of some kind of solid wood. If you have any guesses what this might be, I would be happy to hear. Like I said, this is a table leg, and this came from a theater. And if you know theater people, you know that they make something out of nothing pretty much all the time. So I was actually helping them with taking down the set from a production, and they were going to throw out the table. And I looked at it and I said, could I have those legs? Because they look really solid and I could maybe make something out of them. And they both thought I was weird and thought I probably had a good idea. So they said, yeah, sure. Here, take them. We're just going to throw them out anyway. So one man's trash, another man's treasure, right? So I have taken one of them and I've cut it down into two relatively equal pieces. They're about 11 inches long. And I took off some of the corners and everything, as you can see, just to get it something closer to a shape I can work with. And again, in the spirit of making something out of nothing and creating whatever randomness we can, what I would like to do is take this and turn it into a base for this. If it works out well, I will be returning the table legs to the set creation people at this show, and returning it to them as some wine glasses that they can hopefully use and enjoy. But either way, it should be an interesting experience. So I'm going to start by just taking this down to round, and I'm going to be at a relatively low speed, somewhere around 680 RPM. I don't have a whole lot of vibration with this. I already tested it a little bit. I don't have a whole lot of vibration, so I'm happy about that. But I still want to start off carefully, and I'm just going to start off with the spindle gouge. So I just took a second there to put on all my safety equipment, the helmet and face shield and my dust protection. Here goes the dust collection, and here we go. So we have a real good start here. My biggest problem is that I'm not able to keep a wide enough base for me to really feel like this is going to be very stable. So I'm going to give it a tall base instead, since it won't have the width. And then what I might end up doing is actually putting something in there to give it a little bit more weight. I think I'm pretty good up here with the diameter of the base and the diameter of my stem. So I'm just going to round this down a little bit more down here, and I'm going to start taking the skew and smoothing this off and making it a little thinner, a little finer. That's looking really nice. I've got a few tool marks, but other than that, it's looking pretty good. Need to take this down a little bit more. Just got a little bit right there. Part of me wants to leave it to show where it came from, but I want to finish this off a little bit better than that. So I'm going to take this down a little bit finer. See if we can kind of have it work well with the angle of the glass itself. Just kind of come down with it. And then I'm going to just hollow in here a little bit before I part it off. So I'm going to go with a 100 grit to start off, just to stand off some of these higher, rougher spots, especially right here. I always get a little bit of roughness right around sharp edges like that. I really have to work on my sharp edges. So I'll be going about 500 RPM. Alright, I'm going to part it off now. Start up here, and then I'll take it off down here. Well, the good part is it lines up nicely. This whole top part's going to fit really well. Problem is, this base is just not going to be heavy enough to really hold this stable, plus it doesn't look right. So, I have some elm, at least I'm pretty sure it's elm. Found it by the side of the road a while ago. I like the color of it because it was nice and reddish looking, and then when I cut into it, it's all bright yellow. So I've played around with this a little bit before. Downside is it stinks when you cut it, but other than that, it's pretty nice wood. So I'm going to make a couple of pieces to use as a base for my wine glasses. And I'm going to start by just rounding this off, and then I'll start shaping. So I skipped over a little bit. I made the 2 bases. I didn't show you making the second base. I didn't see a reason to do that. It's the same thing. Didn't show you making the second stem. Again, same thing. I am still working on the whole duplicating something. So this is not a bad attempt. I'm not satisfied with it, but I also know that I never will be. So I'm going to start by gluing everything together, and I'm going to use a heavy-duty carpenter's glue that's made for wet as well as dry. Figure these things are going to get used, they're going to get washed, so just in case anything makes it past any of the other finishing stuff that gets on here, I certainly don't want the glue to soften up. This glue is stiff, sticky, hard to work with, which in the end I think is a good thing, but especially when it's chilly in the shop, makes it a little hard. So each one's going to get put in, clamped. And once I clamp them, I'm going to just double check and make sure that I have them as straight and true as possible. Because the way I usually end up working these things out, I end up with something that's a little bit crooked. I find that if I take the time now, I get a better result later. So we'll get back to these when they dry.